I was being brought to set in a wheelchair. Like, I couldn't walk that far. So I had to tell everybody because I needed help. You know, I needed someone to help me stand, and I needed someone to help. I needed someone to help me to get there.
Al Bundy, famously played by Ed O'Neill and widely known as the absolute worst father in television history, was actually hiding a massive secret behind the cameras. Recently, his former co-star, Christina Applegate, has finally decided to expose everything that happened back then. When you discover what this 40-something man quietly did with a 15-year-old girl on the notoriously dangerous set of Married, with children, you will be left absolutely speechless. What exactly compelled Christina, who is currently battling a devastating chronic illness, to use her remaining energy to reveal the shocking truth about Ed O'Neill before it is too late? You definitely need to grab a box of tissues before you continue reading. The 15-year-old girl in the Married with Children storm. In the year 1987, a 15-year-old Christina Applegate found herself entering an entirely new and demanding world when she joined the cast of Fox's groundbreaking sitcom, Married with Children. She was cast as Kelly Bundy, a character defined by her blonde hair, perceived foolishness, and overt sex appeal, a role that would ultimately catapult her to stardom. However, this was no ordinary family sitcom, as Married with Children was intentionally designed to be audacious, controversial, and a constant disruptor of primetime television conventions. The show's signature style was built on edgy jokes, provocative situations, and adult-oriented content, which immediately transformed it into a cultural phenomenon and a subject of intense debate from its very first broadcast. At the very center of this cultural storm was a young teenage girl trying to find her footing. Ed O'Neill, who was then in his 40s and already a seasoned actor with considerable life experience, immediately recognized the potential dangers of this environment. He saw a gifted young actress who was suddenly thrust into the glaring spotlight of fame, forced to navigate an on-set atmosphere that could often feel overwhelmingly adult. He possessed a keen understanding of how unforgiving the entertainment industry could be, especially for young performers who were still in the process of forming their identities and values. Instead of limiting his role to that of a fellow actor who simply shared scenes with her, Ed O'Neill consciously chose to adopt a responsibility that was never written into his contract, becoming Christina's quiet and steadfast protector. Those who were present on the set during those years recall how Ed consistently kept a watchful eye on her, not in an obvious or overbearing way, but with subtle and meaningful gestures. If a conversation among the crew began to drift into territory that was inappropriate for a 15-year-old, Ed would skillfully intervene, gently redirecting the topic without causing a scene. When journalists or fans made insensitive comments about Christina's character, conflating the fictional persona with the real person, he was always the first to step in and defend her with unwavering loyalty. More importantly, Ed equipped Christina with the tools she needed to thrive in the high-pressure world of Hollywood, teaching her not just how to survive, but how to stand strong. He guided her on how to handle the intense media scrutiny, how to maintain a clear boundary between her on-screen character and her off-screen self, and how to uphold a sense of professionalism even when faced with the most challenging or awkward situations. These were invaluable lessons that were never part of any script, yet they became the most significant education Christina received during her 11-year journey with the show. It wasn't a role. It was a real father-daughter bond. The relationship that blossomed between Ed O'Neill and Christina Applegate quickly transcended the professional boundaries of the set, evolving into a genuine familial affection that was nurtured through countless acts of sincere care. Ed consistently did things that no contract could ever stipulate, all of which stemmed from the authentic concern of an adult looking out for a child. During the show's early years, when filming would often run late into the night, Ed made it his personal responsibility to ensure that a teenage Christina got home safely. He would frequently call her mother to let her know that her daughter was okay, a small but deeply meaningful gesture that demonstrated an immense sense of accountability and care. On set, his protective instincts were even more pronounced and visible to everyone. There were times when the show's producers wanted to push the boundaries of the Kelly Bundy character even further, exploring sensitive themes that could have been potentially harmful to a young actress. In these moments, Ed did not hesitate to step in, directly approaching the producers to advocate for Christina and shield her from demands he felt were inappropriate. This was a courageous act, as challenging producers could easily create professional friction. But for Ed, protecting his on-screen daughter's well-being was always his top priority. The entire cast and crew were witnesses to this unique and special relationship. They frequently observed Ed pulling Christina aside for quiet conversations, offering both guidance and a listening ear. He was more than just her guardian, he was also her mentor. Ed taught Christina a great deal about the art of acting, particularly the nuanced skill of comedic improvisation. He had a remarkable ability to transform tense or difficult scenes into practical acting lessons, which helped her cultivate her natural comedic timing and build unwavering confidence in front of the camera. Many years later, on her own podcast, Messy, Christina would explicitly credit Ed as the person who taught me how to be funny, a testament to his profound influence on her craft. Christina Applegate literally grew up on the set of Married. With children, transitioning from a 15-year-old girl into a 26-year-old woman by the time the series concluded. Throughout that entire transformative decade of her life, Ed O'Neill was a constant presence, witnessing every milestone of her development. He watched with pride as she evolved from a talented child into a consummate professional, and he celebrated her as she found her own voice and established her own power within the industry. His affection was not merely protective, it was imbued with the profound pride of a father, watching his child grow and succeed against all odds. The man who stood firm. When the world panicked. On January 15, 1989, an event unfolded that sent shockwaves through the Fox network and the entire production of Married with Children. A woman from Michigan named Terry Rakolta, after watching an episode titled "Her Cups Runneth Over," felt deeply offended by the show's content and its portrayal of family life. She immediately launched an extensive letter-writing campaign to boycott the program, targeting its major corporate sponsors. Her campaign proved to be remarkably effective in a short period, as major brands including Coca-Cola, McDonald's, and several others quickly withdrew their advertising from the show's time slot. Suddenly, Married with Children was facing a very real and imminent threat of cancellation. For Christina Applegate, who was only 17 years old at the time, this crisis was a terrifying ordeal. The promising career she had been building for 2 years felt as though it could shatter at any moment. A palpable sense of fear and uncertainty gripped her and her young co-star, David Faustino, who played her brother, Bud Bundy. They worried that their Hollywood dreams might come to an abrupt and premature end before they had even truly begun. In the midst of this widespread panic, Ed O'Neill exhibited an extraordinary level of calm and composure, immediately becoming the emotional anchor for the entire cast, especially for his 2 young on-screen children. He took it upon himself to reassure Christina and David, telling them that the controversy was merely noise, and that their most important job was to continue delivering their best performances. He advised them to avoid reading the negative press and to remain focused on their scripts and their craft, providing a much-needed sense of stability in a turbulent time. His support was not limited to private encouragement, as Ed also became a public defender of the show and its young actors. He confidently addressed the media, explaining that the show was intended as a satire of American family life, and that its cast was simply doing their jobs with great professionalism. With his calm demeanor and articulate reasoning, he managed to reframe the crisis, turning a potentially disastrous situation into an unexpected opportunity. The outcome of the boycott was a classic example of cultural irony. Terry Raccolta's campaign inadvertently triggered what is now known as the Streisand effect, where an attempt to suppress information only serves to make it more widely known. Public curiosity about the show skyrocketed, and instead of declining, the ratings for Married, with Children, soared to new heights. Viewers tuned in to see what all the fuss was about, and ended up staying for the show's unique and unapologetic brand of humor. The boycott crisis not only failed to destroy the program, but actually made it more famous and solidified its place in television history. For the cast, the experience became a badge of honor, a shared trial by fire that forged their professional relationships into something much deeper, transforming them from a group of co-workers into a true family that had weathered a major storm together. The unfinished ending of 1997 and the years of separation. After an impressive run of 11 seasons and 259 episodes, the journey of Married with Children came to a close in June 1997, but its ending was anything but conventional. The cancellation was abrupt and unceremonious, with no final wrap-up episode to provide closure and no official farewell party for the cast and crew who had dedicated over a decade of their lives to the show. In a move that highlighted the often impersonal nature of the industry, the actors were not even formally notified by the network or producers. They discovered that their show had been canceled through friends and media reports. This sudden and inconclusive ending left everyone involved with a lingering sense of incompleteness and disappointment. For Christina Applegate, the news was a significant emotional blow. She had spent her entire adolescence and early adulthood, from the age of 15 to 26, on that very set. It was far more than just a job for her. It was a second home, a place where she had grown up and navigated the complexities of life. The sudden loss of the on-set family she had interacted with daily for 11 years created a profound void in her life. Despite the show's unceremonious end, the powerful bond between her and Ed O'Neill was not severed. Their father-daughter relationship had long since moved beyond the pages of a script and proved to be strong enough to endure the separation. In the years that followed, they remained in consistent contact, frequently talking on the phone and occasionally meeting for dinner to reminisce and catch up on each other's lives. Ed continued to play a pivotal role as her mentor and trusted advisor as she navigated the next phase of her career. As Christina transitioned into major film roles in movies like The Sweetest Thing and Anchorman, and later returned to television with successful series such as Samantha Who and the critically acclaimed Dead to Me, Ed was always one of the first people she turned to for guidance. He offered her his honest opinions and unwavering encouragement, helping her make important career decisions with the wisdom of someone who knew her well. On his part, Ed O'Neill never forgot his daughter, Dee. In countless interviews over the years, whenever the topic of Married with Children came up, he would speak about Christina with an unmistakable and undisguised sense of pride. He praised her immense talent, her work ethic, and her character. In one particularly memorable moment, he made a surprise visit to the set of her sitcom, Jessie, 1998 to 2000, a gesture that moved her deeply. These small yet significant actions served as constant proof that even though the Bundy family no longer graced the television screen, the real-life family they had formed behind the scenes remained as strong and enduring as ever. The shock of an MS diagnosis in 2021. In 2021, while filming the final season of her hit Netflix series Dead to Me, Christina Applegate received a diagnosis that would irrevocably alter the course of her life. She had multiple sclerosis, MS. This chronic autoimmune disease, which affects the central nervous system, currently has no cure and presents a lifetime of unpredictable challenges. With immense courage, she chose to share the news publicly, embarking on a new and difficult chapter of her life under the public eye. Upon hearing the news, Ed O'Neill immediately reached out to Christina. His response was not the kind of fleeting, superficial sympathy often exchanged in Hollywood circles. Instead, it was a demonstration of a real, steadfast, and unwavering presence. As Christina later shared, Ed began calling her regularly to check in, not to offer empty platitudes, but simply to listen, to be there for her emotionally, and to let her know she was not alone. The entire cast of Married with Children, particularly Katie Sagal, who played her on-screen mother, Peggy Bundy, rallied around her with tremendous love and support. However, Christina has made it a point to emphasize the unique and special role that Ed continued to play. "Ed is still my protector, just like he always was," she stated. A powerful acknowledgement that, after more than 3 decades, she still viewed him as the paternal, shielding figure who had been her rock since she was a teenager. This bond was now being tested in the most profound way imaginable. The MS diagnosis changed everything about Christina's daily existence. She began to experience chronic pain and debilitating fatigue. Her mobility was affected, forcing her to adapt to using a cane to walk. She also had to contend with cognitive fog, a common MS symptom that can make thinking and concentrating extremely difficult. Perhaps most painfully, she had to grieve the loss of her former self, coming to terms with the difficult reality that her ability to work in front of a camera for long hours, as she had done her entire life, was now a thing of the past. Throughout this dark and challenging period, the constant and unconditional support from Ed O'Neill served as an invaluable source of strength and comfort, proving once again that their father-daughter bond was a truly unbreakable force, capable of withstanding any trial life threw their way. Recent moments that have moved fans. Since publicly disclosing her illness, Christina Applegate has made several courageous and inspiring public appearances. And during these significant moments, the enduring presence of her Bundy family has been a constant source of strength and a poignant reminder of their unbreakable bond. In November 2022, Christina was honored with a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, which marked her first public event since her MS diagnosis. She appeared with the assistance of a cane, choosing to go barefoot to help with her balance, a candid display of her new reality. During a deeply emotional and heartfelt speech, she expressed her gratitude to her family, friends, and especially her daughter. While Ed O'Neill was unable to attend in person, his presence was felt as Katie Sagal and David Faustino stood by her side, offering their unwavering support. In a fitting tribute, her star was placed directly beside those of Ed and Katie, forever cementing their legacy as one of television's most iconic families. At the Emmy Awards in January 2024, Christina made a surprise appearance that brought the entire audience to its feet. As she walked onto the stage, aided by the host, and to the familiar theme song of Married with Children, the room erupted in a prolonged standing ovation. Displaying her characteristic wit and resilience, she humorously quipped, "You're totally shaming me with disability by standing up." The moment was a perfect blend of humor and emotion, showcasing her indomitable spirit in the face of adversity. In 2024, Christina launched a new project, a podcast titled Misi, which she co-hosts with actress Jamie Lynn Sigler, who also lives with MS. The podcast has become a powerful platform for both women to speak with raw honesty about the daily realities of living with a chronic illness, sharing their struggles and triumphs without any sugarcoating. In a particularly moving episode, Ed O'Neill was a featured guest. During their conversation, Christina once again affirmed his monumental impact on her life, lovingly referring to him as the man who raised her and taught her everything she knows about her craft. These recent moments, from award ceremonies to intimate podcast conversations, continue to offer the world a glimpse into a relationship that has only deepened with time, demonstrating that even though the show has long been over, the love and support of her on-screen family remain a vital part of her journey. The untold secrets from behind the scenes, behind the raucous laughter and iconic moments that married. With children delivered to millions of viewers, the set was a uniquely vibrant place, a controlled chaos that fostered an atmosphere of warmth and genuine connection. It was in this environment that Ed O'Neill took on his most important off-screen role, not just as a protector, but as a dedicated teacher who imparted invaluable acting lessons to a young Christina Applegate. One of the greatest skills Ed passed on to Christina was the art of playing with the script. He taught her that the written dialogue was merely a foundation, and that the true magic of comedy often came from improvisation, physical gestures, and spontaneous reactions. He consistently encouraged her to experiment, to add her own small quirks and nuances, to make the character of Kelly Bundy more three-dimensional and memorable. Consequently, many of Kelly's most iconic lines and mannerisms were not in the original scripts, but were born from the creative synergy and playful interaction between the two on-screen family members. The atmosphere on set was a delicate balance of professional focus and lighthearted fun. While the work was demanding, the time between takes was often filled with laughter, practical jokes, and camaraderie. The cast would gather for coffee, sharing stories and advice. Katie Sagal often adopted a maternal role, offering guidance to Christina, while her relationship with David Faustino mirrored that of real-life siblings, filled with teasing, bickering, and mutual support. At the center of this lively environment, Ed O'Neill served as the moral compass. He operated under a firm and unwavering principle. The characters they played could be crude, dysfunctional, and over the top, but the actors themselves must always treat each other with respect. While Al Bundy might have been a miserable and vulgar character, Ed O'Neill was a consummate professional and a true gentleman who insisted on a respectful workplace. He was particularly vigilant about shielding the younger cast members from any negative aspects of the industry, creating a safe and nurturing space where Christina could develop her talent without facing undue pressure. It was this commitment to decency and his genuine care for his colleagues that transformed a television set into a second home and a group of actors into a real family. In an industry notorious for its fleeting relationships and friendships that often fade when the cameras stop rolling, the story of Ed O'Neill and Christina Applegate stands as a rare and inspiring testament to the power of genuine human connection. Their enduring bond proves that authentic affection, built on a foundation of respect and care, can withstand the immense pressures of fame, the relentless passage of time, and even the devastating challenges of chronic illness. Married, With Children may have concluded without a traditional finale, but the Bundy family is very much alive and well, thriving not on screen, but in the real lives of the actors who portrayed them. Their relationship requires no script and no audience, because it was forged in the unscripted moments of mentorship, protection, and unwavering support that defined their years together. Looking ahead, a formal on-screen reunion may be unlikely, especially as Christina focuses her energy on her health. But that no longer matters. The essential truth is that their connection remains steadfast. Christina Applegate will always have Ed O'Neill as her anchor, the father figure she can turn to in any storm. And Ed O'Neill will always be immensely proud to call her his daughter, watching over her journey with the boundless love of a true father. Have you ever had a person like Ed O'Neill in your life? A mentor or protector who shaped who you are? What are your thoughts on this special bond between Christina and her TV dad, Al? Feel free to share your reflections in the comments below.